So I had been working for Humane Society for, gosh, 10 or 15 years, and I'll never forget the day one of our animal control officers entered the shelter, and we heard screaming around, and we all ran down from our offices to see what was the commotion about. And here's our animal control officer, arms around this little squiggly pig, little pink pig. She was a stray. And we took her into the shelter. We all fell in love with her. We took lunch breaks with her. And during the same time when the adoption staff was trying like mad to find her a home, two people came forward, but they wanted to fatten her up and barbecue her. We were a humane society. We would never allow that. But at the exact same time, our shelter held a fundraising event, and we served ham. And everybody ate that ham, and not I, because I was a vegetarian, vegan way back then. But that was my aha moment when I saw the powerful disconnect that this little piglet, because we rescued her, she had value, she had worth, and yet her sisters that, well, you know, their flesh is at the grocery store, had none. And it was that time when I realized, A, we had to rescue that piglet, and she was one of our first rescues for Animal Place. But two, I needed to switch gears from focusing instead of on dogs and cats on all the farmed animals. So my whole professional life I've worked for animals and have worked with animals. And I started with SPCAs and humane societies and humane education work. It became fairly apparent to me early on that it's farmed animals. It's pigs like Wilbur, it's chickens, it's turkeys, cows and sheep and goats that make up 99.5% of all the animals killed in the United States. And so I switched gears. I left my dog and cat work at humane societies and co-founded Animal Place with Dr. Buchmacha. So we operated our sanctuary in Vacaville, Animal Place, for 20 years. It was founded in 1989, and then we outgrew the 60 acres we had. We needed to relocate, and we found this beautiful 600 acres up in Grass Valley where Animal Place now is. And when we relocated up to Grass Valley, we were so fortunate in able to keep our Vacaville property, and we turned that into Rescue Ranch program. The only of its kind in the country, where we do high volume rescues of hens from egg farms. And we bring them back to Rescue Ranch facility, we rehabilitate them, and then we place them into loving homes with our adoption program. You know, one of the first big rescues we did of hens was from Gilroy. There was an egg farm that we heard about that was going out of business. And fortunately, we were notified. I went down there, met the person who owned the property, and they allowed us to go in and take as many hens as we could before they officially depopulated, meaning they rip them out of the cage, throw them in the transport crates, and then these birds all went to slaughter down in the Modesto area. And gosh, that rescue, I forget how many we took, but I think it was 1,000, 1,100. And that was our very first rescue. The largest rescue we have ever done, or any sanctuary's ever done, was from Turlock. And we saved 4,360 birds. We heard about it from the news media. It was an egg farm of about 50,000 birds that he just stopped feeding them. They had water, but they had no food. And that was 2.5 weeks before anyone knew about it. After that time, a third of the birds were dead. And when we heard about it, we immediately sent down our staff that night with a couple of stock trailers, and we watched as they were getting the birds with gassing them and then putting them in front loaders and dumping them. The state veterinarian was there. They wouldn't let us take the birds. Animal control wouldn't let us take the birds. And finally we fought and fought and fought over a 24-hour period until they released them. And that was kind of pivotal time in that we had to scramble to house over 4,000 lives that we, even at Rescue Ranch, weren't set up to rescue that many. But those are those really interesting issues when you're faced with their emergencies. There's no one else who is equipped to take animals like we are. And you face many ethical dilemmas in the sanctuary work, but one of which is, when do you say no? There's just no easy answer. So Rescue Ranch now is 8 years old, and during those 8 years we saved over 26,000 lives, which is just unbelievable. 4,000 birds a year have come through our barns at Rescue Ranch, and unfortunately we have to sell the property. Zoning issues prevent us from doing high volume rescues that we do. So we found homes for all the animals there. We have the property up for sale. And now we're looking to move into the Greater Bay Area. We want to move in a location where we can have a small urban sanctuary, where we can have our Rescue Ranch program where people can come and volunteer. They can come and take chicken care classes. They can come and take volunteer training classes. There's so much more we can do if we have the ability to be near metropolitan areas, and we can allow visitors in, where we could not do at Rescue Ranch. So the search is on for property. The search is on for monetary support. We're really hoping we can partner with a lot of folks in the Greater Bay Area to bring, as we're saying, Rescue Ranch 2.0.